Welcome everyone. Today is not just another video. Today is a mental revolution. Today, you're going to learn how to remember anything, even if right now you feel like your brain forgets everything. Your brain is not broken. Your memory is not weak. You've just never been trained the right way, and today that changes forever. You see, Japanese students are not born with special brains. They are trained with special methods. They grow up in a learning culture that treats memory not as a gift, but as a muscle. And what do you do with a muscle? You train it, you repeat, you challenge it, you improve it every single day. Now think about this. Japanese students memorize thousands of complex characters. They master subjects under immense pressure. They don't just learn information. They retain it, apply it, and live it. And most importantly, they do it without burning out. Without complaining, without saying, "I can't remember." Because in their world, memory is a form of discipline. It's not a game. It's not an accident. It's a skill, a habit, a system. And today, we're going to uncover the exact methods that help them do this, step by step, so that you can apply them to your own life. This video is important for you if you are tired of forgetting everything after one day. You highlight, underline, and reread, but nothing sticks. You feel frustrated that your brain isn't working fast enough. You want to become fluent in English, or top your class, or prepare for an exam, or simply become smarter, but your memory is stopping you. Then stay till the end, because every method I'm about to show you will not only improve your memory, it will also change how you study, how you think, and how you believe in yourself. This is not about magic tricks. This is not about memorizing useless facts. This is about transforming your brain permanently, using tools that millions of Japanese students use every single day. So take a deep breath, sit up straight, and get ready to become the kind of learner who remembers everything. Because from this moment forward, you are no longer just a student. You are a memory master in training. So, make sure to watch till the end and subscribe if you're serious about improving. Technique 1. Active recall. Pull, don't push. Let's start with the most powerful memory technique in the world, used by Japanese students, backed by science, and ignored by almost everyone who forgets easily. It's called active recall. Most students do something passive. They read, they highlight, they underline, they feel busy, but nothing goes into their brain deeply. That's called input learning. You keep pushing information in, but Japanese students do something else. They pull information out. That's active recall. Imagine you read a page about World War II. A normal student finishes the page and moves on. But a Japanese-style learner closes the book and says, "Okay, what was the main reason for the war? Can I explain the timeline without looking? What was the name of the treaty?" That's active recall. You force your brain to search, to retrieve, to work. Why does this work better? Because your brain is not a container, it's a muscle, and muscles grow only when you use them. Every time you pull out an answer from memory, even if you're wrong, even if you struggle, even if you forget, you are making the memory stronger. Now, let's say you're learning English vocabulary. You could look at the word resilient 10 times. That's passive. Or you could close your book and ask, what does resilient mean? Can I use it in a sentence? Who do I know that is resilient? That moment of struggle, that moment of silence in your mind where you try to remember, that is where real memory is formed, because you're not just seeing the word, you're using it. And memory doesn't respect what you see. Memory respects what you struggle to recall. Japanese students are trained to ask themselves questions, to teach others, to write down answers without looking, to speak aloud what they just read, not once, but every day. Here's how to use active recall starting today. Step 1. After reading or studying, immediately close your material. Step 2. Write down or speak 3 questions that cover what you just learned. Step 3. Try to answer them without looking. Step 4. Check your answers. Correct what you got wrong. Step 5. Do this again the next day without looking at your notes first. It might feel uncomfortable. You might feel like you're failing, but this is productive failure. It's the kind of failure that makes you smarter, because you are not building memory from comfort. You are building memory from mental effort. And guess what? Japanese students don't do this once a week. They do it daily, quietly, privately, repeatedly. They don't say, I'll try to remember. They train to remember through active retrieval. So remember this forever. The more you test yourself, the less the world will test you. The more you ask yourself questions, the more answers you'll always have. And the more you recall, the more you'll remember permanently. 2. The Kuman method. Train your memory like a martial art. If there's one method from Japan that has helped millions of students worldwide, it is the Kuman method. And no, it's not just for math. It's a memory philosophy. So, what exactly is it? The Kuman method was created by a Japanese teacher named Tukum. He believes something very simple yet incredibly powerful. If a child solves one small problem every day and does it perfectly, then day by day, the brain becomes unstoppable. He didn't believe in pressure. He didn't believe in speed. He believed in one thing: perfect repetition of simple steps. And this is the magic you need in your life. You don't study 10 pages in a day. You study 1 page, but 10 times. You don't try to remember 20 English words in a week. You take 5 words and master them deeply. You don't move forward until you can complete a task without stress. Imagine you're learning how to write the word discipline. Most students would write it once, read the meaning, move on. But a trained student would write discipline 20 times, speak it 10 times, use it in 3 sentences, come back tomorrow, and write it again without looking. That is not overdoing it. That is permanent mastery. Memory does not respect your hunger for speed. Memory respects your ability to repeat perfectly without boredom. This is where most learners fail. They chase quantity. They want to do more to feel smarter. But the smartest students don't rush. They build automatic memory through calm, controlled, focused repetition. Just like martial arts students repeating the same move 1,000 times until it becomes effortless. That's the Kuman spirit. It's not about pressure. It's about mental patience. Apply it like this. 1. Choose one topic or concept. 2. Break it into micro pieces. For example, not English grammar, just simple past tense. 3. Write it, speak it, teach it, repeat it until it feels like brushing your teeth. 4. Review again the next day. 5. Only move forward when you can explain it without looking. This is how Japanese students outperform, not by rushing ahead, but by repeating behind the scenes until everything becomes automatic. If you want your brain to remember without effort, you need to train like Kuman. Not for excitement, but for excellence. 1 page, 1 sentence, 1 step, mastered with calm repetition. That's how you build an unshakable memory. 3. Spaced repetition. Review at the right time, not all the time. Most people think if I want to remember something, I should study it again and again in one day, so they cram. They repeat the same material 5 times today, and tomorrow they forget most of it. Why? Because the brain is not designed to remember everything in one day. It's designed to remember what it sees again and again over time. That's where spaced repetition comes in. Instead of repeating everything right away, you review it after carefully timed intervals. Day 1, learn the topic. Day 2, first review while it's still fresh. Day 4, second review. Brain has started to forget. Perfect time to reinforce. Day 7, third review. Now the memory starts to stick. Day 30, final long-term memory check. Why is this effective? Because it uses a brain principle called the forgetting curve. It means your brain is meant to forget unless you remind it just in time. Japanese students, whether consciously or not, follow this principle through flashcards, weekly revision schedules, mini-tests every few days, speaking what they learned out loud again and again. Not every hour, but every few days. Let's say you learned 5 English words today. Day 1, learn them. Day 2, review without looking. Day 4, test yourself again. Day 7, speak all 5 in new sentences. Day 30, can you still remember all 5 without help? If yes, that's called real memory. If not, no problem. Repeat the cycle. This method works for anything. History dates, vocabulary, science formulas, English speaking patterns, even confidence-building phrases. It gives your brain space to forget and then to strengthen. And that strengthening process, that's what makes it unforgettable. How to apply spaced repetition right now. Keep a study journal. After every topic you study, write the date. Schedule reviews for day 2, day 4, day 7, and day 30. Don't overread, just stick to the schedule. Speak, write, and teach the topic again each time you review. This is how memory athletes train. This is how Japanese students prepare for high-pressure exams. They don't panic. They plan. And their plan gives them peace of mind because they know, even if I forget, I will meet this information again. And every meeting makes it stronger. That spaced repetition, it's not about reviewing more. It's about reviewing at the right time. If you're serious about mastering your memory, then stop flooding your brain. Start spacing your reviews. 4. Kaizen, the secret of 1% daily improvement. This technique is not only used by Japanese students, it's used by Japanese athletes, engineers, artists, monks, and even business leaders, and it has one simple name: Kaizen. Kaizen means continuous improvement, tiny steps taken every day without stopping. Now, let's get one thing straight. Most students make a big mistake. They wait for motivation. They study hard on one day and then disappear for a week. They try to memorize everything fast and then forget it just as fast. That is the complete opposite of how Kaizen works. Kaizen doesn't care how much you study today. Kaizen cares if you improve by even 1%. Every single day, if you improve your memory by just 1% today, and again tomorrow, and again the next day, at the end of 1 year, you are not just 365% better. You are 37 times better because small improvements compound over time. Japanese students are trained in this mindset from childhood. They don't study for 6 hours in one day and then quit. They study consistently for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes every single day. They track their progress. They reflect on what they're doing wrong. They fix it slowly. They build study stamina, not in 1 week, but over months and years. Kaizen is about discipline. It's about doing something so small that it's impossible to say no. You want to memorize 300 English words. Don't say, I'll do 50 words this week. Say, I'll do 5 words every day, but I'll do it perfectly. I'll read them. I'll write them. I'll speak them. I'll review them using spaced repetition. I'll use them in a sentence. I'll teach them to myself. That's how you apply Kaizen. Even if it's slow, it's deep. Even if it's small, it's stable. Even if it's boring, it's brilliant. Because memory doesn't grow by speed. It grows by consistency. Kaizen makes you unstoppable, not because you study harder, but because you never stop studying. You become someone who never skips a day, always reviews yesterday before learning today, makes learning part of your life, not your stress. This is why Japanese students look calm. They don't panic during exams because they've been preparing quietly, consistently, and faithfully for weeks and months. That is the power of Kaizen. Apply this today. Write down your memory goal. Example, I want to memorize 200 English idioms. Break it into daily goals. Example, 5 idioms a day with examples. Review old ones while learning new ones. Reflect weekly on what is working and what needs improvement. Do not skip a single day, even if it's just 15 minutes, because the truth is simple. Kaizen does not care how slowly you go. Kaizen only cares that you never stop. 5. Interralled practice mix to master. Most people do blocked practice. That means I will do 10 grammar questions. Then I will do 20 vocabulary words. Then I will do 1 full chapter of history. It feels organized. It feels productive. But it's also dangerous because it creates a false confidence. You feel like you understand everything, but you only understand it in one context. You only practiced one thing in one way, without confusion. But life and memory don't work that way. Now compare that with how top Japanese learners study. They don't block everything. They mix it. They study grammar, then vocabulary, then reading, then back to grammar, then a small test, then a revision of something they learned last week. It means mixing different topics, problems, and skills together so that your brain has to work harder, switch gears, and create deeper connections. Yes, it feels harder. Yes, it feels uncomfortable, but that's exactly why it works, because your brain is being challenged to adapt. It's not just memorizing facts, it's making sense of them across different topics. Imagine you're preparing for an English exam. Instead of spending 3 hours on just grammar, do this. 20 minutes grammar, 20 minutes vocabulary, 20 minutes listening practice, 10-minute break, 20 minutes writing task, 10-minute memory recall from yesterday's topic. Now your brain is switching, connecting, adapting. You're not just memorizing, you're mastering. Because when you switch between topics, your brain has to work harder, pays more attention, gets more active, builds stronger pathways. This is especially powerful for long-term retention, because in real life, you never face questions in perfect order. Instead of doing one topic all day, do 3 to 4 different ones. Instead of repeating one type of question, mix question types. Review something from last week while learning something new today. Speak, write, listen, and recall all in one study block. This method is used by Japanese students, competitive exam toppers, and even elite memory athletes. They don't just train their brain to remember. They train their brain to recognize, connect, and respond across different situations. That's how you build flexible, deep, and permanent memory. Interleaved practice is not random. It is controlled variety. It is memory training under pressure, and that pressure makes you sharper. 6. Mnemonics meet emotion. Connect facts with feelings. If I ask you what you had for breakfast last Tuesday, you probably won't remember. But if I ask you what happened the day your heart was broken or the day you got a huge surprise, you remember everything. Why? Because the brain doesn't just remember facts. The brain remembers feelings. And Japanese students are trained in subtle and cultural ways to link emotion with information. This creates deep, long-lasting memory. Now, let's break this down clearly and simply. A mnemonic is a tool to remember things. It could be a funny sentence, a weird image, a small story, a rhyme, or acronym. For example, never eat soggy waffles to remember directions, north, east, south, west. My very educated mother just served us noodles to remember the planets. I before E, except after C for spelling. These are memory shortcuts, but most people use them without emotion. That's where they fail, because if a mnemonic doesn't create a feeling, it fades. But what if you made it emotional, even personal? Here's what Japanese students do, especially when learning complex kanji or English words. They turn words into scenes. They imagine stories, they exaggerate, they dramatize, they laugh, they even feel a little embarrassed. And that's the point. If it's too boring to feel, it's too boring to remember. Let's say you're trying to remember a science concept. Photosynthesis equals how plants make food using sunlight. You could just read it 10 times. Or you could imagine a plant holding a frying pan, catching sunlight like eggs and saying, "Ah, breakfast time. Thanks, sun." That's silly. That's emotional. That's memorable. Now, let's take something harder. Let's say you're trying to remember a history date. 1945, end of World War II. You could write it again and again. Or you could imagine a soldier writing the number 1945 on a wall, dropping his gun, hugging a child, and crying, "It's over. It's finally over." That creates a feeling, and feelings anchor memory. Even in math or medicine or law, this works because the brain doesn't store words like a computer. It stores emotions attached to words. Here's how to apply this in your life. Step 1. Take a concept, word, or fact you keep forgetting. Step 2. Create a story around it. Funny, sad, visual, dramatic, anything that gives emotion. Step 3. Speak that story aloud. Even better, draw it. Step 4. Every time you recall that fact, recall the feeling too. Step 5. After a few reviews, it will become unforgettable. Even Japanese school books sometimes include illustrated memory hints or phrases that connect characters with real-life actions to help students remember through imagination. Because imagination creates meaning, and meaning creates memory. A word you feel will always be remembered. A word you only read will always fade. So if you want to remember anything from formulas to dates to principles, don't just repeat it. Create an emotional connection with it. That's how memory becomes alive inside you. 7. The bento box system. Organize your memory like a Japanese lunchbox. Let's now move to a method that's not about repetition or emotion, but about something even more important: mental organization. Most students don't forget because they are lazy. They forget because their brain is a mess. The brain is like a room. If everything is thrown everywhere, you won't find what you're looking for. No matter how smart you are. So how do Japanese students avoid this? They live in a culture that values cleanliness, organization, and order. And one of the best examples of this is the bento box. A bento box is not just a lunchbox. It is a carefully designed container where rice is in one section, vegetables in another, meat in a third, sauce in its own corner. Everything is separated, beautiful, balanced, and intentional. Now imagine if you studied that way. Most students open their book and try to do grammar, vocabulary, listening, reading, reviewing all at once, with music, with noise, with distractions. No order, no categories, no system. And then they ask, "Why can't I remember?" The answer is simple. Your brain needs structure. Step 1. Create separate mental containers for different types of memory. Let's say you're preparing for a big exam. Have one section in your notebook only for vocabulary, another only for formulas, another only for mistakes you made and what you learned, another only for memory triggers or emotional mnemonics. Step 2. Study each container at a different time. Vocabulary in the morning, writing in the afternoon, review in the evening, speaking at night, flashcards every Sunday. Step 3. Don't mix sections during study time. When it's vocabulary time, focus only on that. When it's review time, don't try to learn something new. You are creating clean memory spaces in your mind. Step 4. End your day with a memory review. Just like you check every section of your bento box before eating, ask, "What did I learn today? What section does it belong to? What should I review tomorrow?" When you study like this, something magical happens. Your brain becomes peaceful. You don't panic when you forget something because you know where it is stored. You don't get distracted easily because you're not switching wildly between unrelated tasks. You become focused, centered, sharp. Japanese students are trained to approach learning the same way they approach design, with minimalism, beauty, and separation of tasks. And this is not just good for memory, it's good for your mental health. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop carrying the entire world in your head because your bento-style learning system carries it for you neatly and calmly. Chaos kills memory. Organization feeds it. If your brain has been messy, scattered, overloaded, then today begin your bento box method. Organize your learning. Separate your study blocks. Review your progress. Protect your peace, because the calmest mind is the most powerful one. 8. Sue. Remember using numbers and structure. The human brain does not like chaos. The human brain loves numbers, order, and structure. This is where Sue comes in. Sue simply means this idea. Turn information into numbers, steps, groups, and structure. Japanese students rarely memorize information as a big paragraph. They almost always break information into numbered systems. Why? Because the brain remembers patterns, not randomness. Think about this for a moment. You may forget a long explanation, but you easily remember the 7 days of the week, the 5 fingers on your hand, the 3 meals in a day, the 10 digits from 0 to 9. Why does this happen? Because numbers act like mental hooks. They give your brain a place to hang information. Without numbers, information floats. With numbers, information sticks. Instead of saying there are many causes of failure, they say there are 3 main causes of failure. Instead of there are many rules in this chapter, they say remember these 5 rules. Instead of this topic is big, they say this topic has 4 parts. Now suddenly, the brain relaxes because the brain thinks, okay, I know how much I need to remember. This removes fear. This removes overwhelm. This increases focus. Most learners try to remember everything at once. They read a full chapter, they highlight everything, they underline everything, and then they forget almost everything. Why? Because there is no structure. It's like trying to remember the contents of a room where everything is scattered on the floor. Numbers turn that mess into shelves. This method is not about language. It works for science, history, business, exams, life skills, medicine, law, engineering, everything. Step 1. Ask this question. How many main points are here? Not what does this say, but how many. Step 2. Force structure. Even if the book does not give numbers, you create them. For example, this topic has 3 reasons. This process has 4 steps. This theory has 2 sides. This chapter has 5 key ideas. You are training your brain to organize before memorizing. Step 3. Attach one idea to one number. Now each number becomes a memory container. Instead of remembering a long explanation, you remember 0, 1, 2, 3. Once you remember the number, the brain automatically searches for the content because numbers activate logical memory. Logical memory is stronger than passive memory. When you say there are 4 causes, your brain thinks, I must find 4, not 3, not 5. This creates active searching inside the mind, and searching strengthens memory. They don't panic because they don't see too much information. They see clear quantity. They don't say, I have so much to study. They say, I have 5 things to master today. That mental clarity alone increases memory power. Always convert information into numbered lists. Always review by numbers first. Ask yourself, can I recall all 3? Did I miss 4? When numbers become natural to you, forgetting becomes rare because now your brain is no longer confused. It is guided. Structure creates confidence. Confidence strengthens memory. Memory changes your life. That is Sue. 9. Kanji coding. Turn information into meaningful pictures and patterns. Let me tell you something important. Your brain evolved before written language. Long before books, humans survived by remembering faces, animals, places, danger, movement. All of these are visual. That's why you remember faces better than names. You remember scenes better than sentences. You remember stories better than definitions. Kanji coding uses this natural brain ability. They try to memorize abstract symbols, long definitions, technical words, dry explanations. The brain hates abstraction. But when you turn abstraction into meaningful images, the brain wakes up. Instead of memorizing something as a word, you ask, what does this look like? What story does this remind me of? What image can represent this idea? Japanese learners do not see characters as random lines. They see components, stories, and meaning. You can do the same with any subject. Let's say you are trying to remember a concept like discipline. Instead of repeating the word again and again, your brain may forget it. But if you create an image, a person waking up early, ignoring comfort, choosing effort over ease. Now the word is no longer a word, it is a scene, and scenes are remembered automatically. This technique has two layers. 1. Meaning. You attach purpose to information. You don't memorize empty facts. You ask, why does this exist? What does this represent? 2. Pattern. You break information into parts. Your brain loves patterns. When something has structure and meaning, memory becomes effortless. Step 1. Break information into parts. No matter how complex something is, it is made of smaller ideas. Step 2. Turn each part into an image or action. You don't need to draw it, just see it in your mind. Step 3. Connect the images into one scene. Scenes are easier to remember than lists. Step 4. Recall the scene. The information will come with it automatically because now you are using visual memory, emotional memory, and logical memory all at once. This creates multiple memory pathways. Even if one pathway fails, another works. That is why this method is so powerful. They don't memorize blindly. They understand structure and meaning first. They respect information. And when you respect information, your brain stores it properly. If you try to remember words, you will forget. If you remember meaning, you will never forget. This technique does not make you smarter overnight. It makes your brain deeper, calmer, and sharper over time. And once your brain learns to think in images and patterns, everything becomes easier to remember. 10. The 1,000 times rule. From forgettable to unstoppable. It is the mindset that says if I forget something today, I will repeat it 1,000 times if I have to. I will not stop until it becomes part of me. It's the belief that repetition is not boring. Repetition is training. Repetition is transformation. In many Japanese schools, when a student cannot write a difficult character or solve a specific problem, they do not complain. They do not panic. They do not jump to another topic. They write that one character again and again and again, even if it takes 1,000 times. Not because they are being punished, because they are building permanence. Because they believe if I give my full focus to one thing, I can become unstoppable. Because it changes how you think about failure. Most students do this. I forgot this word again. Maybe I'm not smart enough. This concept is too hard. Maybe it's not for me. I tried twice. It's not sticking. I'll move on. That's the mindset that keeps you average. But the 1,000 times rule says I forgot. Good. That means it's not deep yet. So I'll repeat it with more love, more focus, more intention. This is not about writing something 1,000 times in one sitting. This is about developing the heart of a warrior. Someone who doesn't give up just because memory takes time. Because guess what? Everything takes time. Everything worth remembering needs pressure, patience, and practice. Repetition rewires the brain. Every time you repeat something, you are strengthening neural connections, reducing mental resistance, building long-term memory networks, training automatic recall. But this only happens after the 20th, 50th, 100th repetition. Most students give up by repetition 3. Japanese learners go beyond that. They trust the process not because it feels fun, but because it works. You can use the 1,000 times rule for vocabulary, formulas, sentences, historical dates, definitions, grammar patterns, speaking lines, speeches, exam answers, philosophies you want to live by. Anything you want to make part of your life, you commit to it fully. You don't ask, how many times should I do this? You say, as many times as needed until I never forget again. Step 1. Identify your weak spots. What do you keep forgetting? What feels difficult? Step 2. Select one target item. Not 10, just one at a time. Step 3. Break it into small units. If it's a long sentence or concept, split it into lines or keywords. Step 4. Create a simple repetition ritual. Write the phrase 20 times every morning. Say it aloud 10 times before bed. Teach it to yourself out loud. Review it during your walk. Record yourself saying it and listen back. Step 5. Track how it feels over time. Day 1 feels hard. Day 3 feels familiar. Day 7 becomes automatic. Day 14 feels like a part of you. Day 30, you can use it in real life without hesitation. And if you forget again, you go back to the practice. This is the path of true mastery. You stop seeing forgetting as failure. You start seeing it as unfinished repetition. You stop blaming your brain. You start training it. You stop chasing new tricks. You start perfecting the basics. You become dangerously consistent. And dangerously consistent people always win. Not because they know more, but because they never stop refining what they already know. If you repeat something enough times, your brain has no choice but to accept it. The 1,000 times rule is not about pain. It's about peace. You know your goal. You know your method. You know your mind will bend. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. If you apply enough pressure. That's why this rule works, not just for memory, but for life, because repetition builds identity, and identity creates real permanent change. Let me now speak directly to everyone watching this video, to every learner who feels frustrated, to everyone who has said, "I'm not smart enough. I forget everything. I wish I had a better memory." Your memory is not broken. It is simply untrained. And today, you have finally seen the system. You have been given the path that Japanese students follow. Not just because it's trendy, but because it works. You have now learned how to use active recall to make your brain pull information instead of just storing it. How to use Kuman-style repetition to master one small step at a time. How to apply spaced reviews so your memory lasts weeks, not minutes. How to practice Kaizen, improving just 1% daily, forever. How to use numbers and structure with SU to avoid confusion. How to build vivid, permanent images with kanji-style coding. How to bring feeling and pictures together using mnemonics and emotion. How to study with interrolled practice, mixing skills for deeper memory. You are now no longer just a student. You are a memory warrior. And from this day forward, you have only one choice. Train your brain like the great learners do. Use these techniques not just once, but every single day. Practice, struggle, repeat, and rise until your memory becomes your superpower. Because the world will never ask how fast you learned. It will only ask how well you remember what matters. So make this your mission, to never again be a victim of forgetfulness, to never again say, I can't, to never again live at 50% of your mental potential. You have the system now. Use it. Live it, own it, and remember, discipline beats talent, repetition beats intelligence, systems beat motivation, and memory is a skill anyone can master, you included.